Welcome to the Small Giants Fishbowl. This topic is building community through the cloud. Our last fishbowl looked at how to build relationships in the actual physical community you live in. But is it possible for a company to have strong community relationships if the workforce is completely virtual? How can rethinking the traditional definition of community as a specific place lead to engaging remote workers and building culture? Join Doug Kuker of a.k.a. as he leads our fishbowl about the ins and outs of community partnerships for companies with employees from here to Timbuktu. Okay, here we go.
I'd like to take a quick moment here, and if you can give me just 20 to 30 seconds on each of your company, that'll help us inform the discussion that we're about to have. So let's start with a new face to our fishbowls. Mike, do me a favor, give me 20, 30 seconds about your company.
Okay, we are 00 Supply and Craftsman. We distribute and install commercial window and door products in commercial construction projects. Some renovation, well, a fair amount of renovation as well as new construction. We do storefront and curtain wall, which are products that you might typically think of as commercial products on commercial buildings. However, in addition to that, we also do something a little unique. We distribute residential windows and doors to the commercial market because there is a need for that. Not a lot of companies specialize like that. So if an apartment complex, for instance, is getting built, or student housing or whatever, there could be hundreds and hundreds of windows. And we then are a specialist that brings those windows to that kind of a commercial project so that the commercial contractor doesn't have to go through a lumberyard that's not accustomed to the commercial construction process. So basically that's what we do. We do, this year, I think currently we're running about 26, 28 employees. We'll do in the range of about 6 million in sales this year. We've been in business for I think 17 years now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Rob.
Hi, Image One is the name of my company. We're 23 years old. Founded the company out of college. We manage multifunction printers and copiers, as well as provide software solutions for companies to help them print more efficiently, print less, save money. We have I think just over about 50 employees and about $14 million in revenue, and happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Daniel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Rodriguez. I'm from Brazil, South here, and I run CCLI. It's a language consultancy office. We provide language services for international companies and also the domestic market. We focus on language courses for specific purposes and also translation and interpretation for business meetings and also foreigners that come to the country.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Doug to give us a little background on himself and to start our conversation on how to build community through the cloud. Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Doug Kuker. I'm based in Lake Ozark, Missouri, which is kind of right in the middle of the state, if you're looking at the state on a map. And I have been with Vivaic since we started back in 2006. This is our 8th year in business. We have part-time and full-time employees. We have 17 total employees, and we are completely geographically distributed across the U.S. right now. We do about $2 million in business in revenues each year, and our core business is in designing and developing learning solutions. And so what does that look like? It might be a technical training for a group of sales reps to learn about the science behind a new product, the chemistry of like an ag chem product, or it might be working with a group of individuals in an organization who are responsible for delivering learning to employees to help them figure out how to create a cohesive strategy, to deliver that learning. Like I said, it's myself and then my business partner, Seth Durner. He's based in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the story behind Vivaic, real quick, Vivaic is a Sanskrit word that roughly translates to the knowledge that comes from experience. So that is, and all of our learning designs really are hands-on, really focus on experiential type learning. So that's a little bit about us. Any questions? Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. So Glenn shared a little bit with me, that he made it very clear this isn't a presentation, but I did put together about 4 slides just to kind of help organize my thoughts so that I don't ramble as I kind of talk about how we've gone about, building community through the cloud, at least the topic. But it is a discussion, so please, by all means, I don't anticipate, if you've got a question or you've got something to interject, or maybe you're doing something similar to what we're doing, would love to have you just jump right in and share what you're doing. I'm going to share my screen here, so hopefully you'll be able to see that here. So there's really 3 things that we do in terms of building community. We have a corporate giving program, so philanthropy. We have a team service project that we tackle each year, and then there's volunteerism. So probably don't sound, all that, different than what most maybe companies who have, a local entity, or, everybody's in the same place. But I think the twist is how we go about doing that, and probably also the why behind, the different choices that we've made in terms of the, the activities that we've selected. So as you can see, we're located, we've got folks in California, Florida, Colorado, Nebraska, Minnesota, Missouri, and Indiana / Ohio. It all kind of runs together over there. But as far as I want to just tell you a little bit about each of the 3 pieces and kind of just tell you a little bit of the story behind what we do in terms of service, philanthropy, and volunteerism. So one of the things that we do each year is we have a team service project, and our team service projects may look a little bit different than a group that has a physical company, a location, and they can go out into the community and, let's say, participate at the United Way, or they can go to the food pantry or a local organization and really all come together and do that. So one of the things that we did for a long time was we would do little projects. We get together about 4 times a year as a company, and so when we would get together, we would cook dinner for families local in the local area, or we would do just a small kind of one-off little project. Maybe we would go donate a few hours at a food pantry in the local area, or work at a soup kitchen. We did one time, but those were all great. But we found that employees really they liked it. I think that their question was, well, how do I have a deep personal connection with this? And so we really tried to find a way to engage everybody all at the same time in one project that not just wouldn't just be wrapped up in a weekend, or wouldn't just be wrapped up in a day, but like really feel like you could invest in it. So we're actually partnered with a new NGO called Field of Hope, and they're doing work in Uganda with farmers. Many of the farmers in that area, are the current adult generation, 30 to 40, they grew up in internment camps. And so they don't really have any marketable skills per se. And, you know, they don't really have, they didn't grow up with an agricultural background, even though there's a lot of agriculture in the country and good soil, good land and such. So Field of Hope will actually go in and do kind of 2-week intensive courses to prepare young farmers in that area with just very basic skills, everything from setting up an irrigation system to developing a storage system for, you know, their crop. And our background happens to be in agriculture. Our company, most of our clients are in the ag sector. So we decided to offer, you know, pro bono services to help design the curriculum that this group uses when they go and deliver their classes to the Ugandan farmers. So last year we had 24 farmers graduate from the first class, and they do a 101 level, and then we just wrote the 201 level. And we're also, we actually made Field of Hope part of our strategic plan. And so, you know, we plan to make a significant investment of time over the next several years in helping them realize their goals. They're now going to be moving into to offer some services to orphanages, again, setting up like a land lab at the orphanage so that young people can also gain those basic skills, a marketable skill that they can use to become economically viable. So that's been our team service project. And, you know, we probably spent, I don't know, I'd say across all 17 people, I think the total was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 500 hours over the past year and a half of pro bono work, you know, designing and developing the course that they go then deliver. This is just a picture of the class after they, you know, after they had graduated. John Deere, most of the presenters there are from John Deere, and so they sponsored, you know, some of the program as well, and the travel and such for the facilitators to go over. Anyway, the bottom left corner, just a quick success story. So one of the courses that we do are in the curriculum is crop marketing. And one of the problems that they see, at least in the area, is that farmers will, you know, corn prices will be high. So then everybody grows corn, and then the market gets flooded with corn. And so everybody, you know, because everybody's producing it, so then the prices drop. So one of the pieces that we did in a marketing course, you know, crop marketing course, was talk about diversification. So Alex in the bottom left corner he actually, this last year, after going through the course, graduating, he diversified from just growing maize to also add in rice, and has been able to actually take that to market with the World Food Program. So it opened up a new economic opportunity for that one person, which we're pretty excited about. Another example is, you know, one of the opportunities there is to develop cooperatives, you know, so that there's a functioning business that everybody can share in the profits of that. One of the participants, Bosco, I actually believe it's the guy right here next to Mike. But Bosco met a banker through the program and got the financing to get a cooperative started in his local neighborhood. And so now they have a market to take their grain to. They have quality standards that, you know, they follow. So it really opened up a new economic channel there in that neighborhood. I think just in summary, the key thing, it really just, our team really got into this activity. It really gave us all something that we could share in. And it really achieved that goal of giving us a collective activity that we all could feel like we were really strongly connected to and strongly a part of. There's a tweet from one of our teammates, Angela, who's out in California. During one of our quarterly meetings, we usually have the Field of Hope folks come in during our quarterly meetings and just give us an update on what they're doing, and then we talk about what our next steps are with them in terms of the next pieces of the curriculum and materials that we're building for them.
Doug, how did you keep the work consistent across, again, having people in 11 different places? How did you keep the work and the momentum moving forward on the project? Was it time that was set aside specifically to work on it, or was it ad hoc as people going on? You said there's 500 hours between, I think, 17 people?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There was time specifically set aside to do the work, and lesson learned. When we first started Vivek, we did a similar project, similar in intent and nature, with an inner city youth program in Atlanta. We built the curriculum, but it was a coalition of the willing, and it was all ad hoc, so it wasn't really that time wasn't planned in their hours, or it wasn't considered in that resourcing plan, and it was stressful. It wasn't probably as enjoyable as Field of Hope ended up being, because we included it in our resourcing plan. It was another project, just like the project you work on for Dow AgriSciences or the project you work on for John Deere. So our folks treated it as if it was just another client that we work with, albeit one that they were very invested in. As far as consistency, we followed the same processes that we would normally follow if we were working with, one of our top tier clients. So our processes have, we have a structured way to get from concept of curriculum all the way down to having the materials and being able to deliver that. So, they got the same Vivek experience that anybody else did. And we set that expectation from the very beginning that this wasn't something that you were just supposed to, do as fast as you could. It was supposed to be something that you invested your time in. And so we knew that it was going to take time away from other projects, but we worked around it.
Great.
Doug, how did you, and if you answered this already, my apologies, but how did you guys come to find commonality in this particular, in this group here? I mean, did you guys collaborate to say that, look, we're all in on this? What was it called? FOH?
Yeah, Field of Hope.
Yeah, Field of Hope. Was there a collaboration? Did you have different ideas? And then obviously it had to be something that you guys could all work on together, even though you're apart.
Right. So Field of Hope, we worked with, so you'll see the folks in the green shirts here, and in the white shirt here, and they're not all in the picture here, but each of them is kind of like a subject matter expert in different areas. And so we worked directly with each of those people, because they came to us and said, hey, here's kind of my ideas of what I think. They've been on the ground in Uganda. They know kind of what the situation is. And, they were able to kind of clarify, here's what we think we need to include in a course on crop marketing or crop quality, because they have that background. We happen to, almost all of our teammates either have like a biology or a life sciences or an agriculture type background in either their education or past work experiences or just even growing up. Between the two, it was just a natural connection for us in terms of us being able to speak the same language, even though we were working with people that, we weren't meeting and weren't going to meet. So they were kind of the representative that really, when they would review the materials, they really looked at it from the perspective of not only, they were going to be facilitating, but also the people that they know that they were going to work with. Does
So
that
in
answer your question?
choosing Field of Hope, who was sort of the lead on that? And then obviously you want to go to the team and say, hey, here's an idea, or maybe did you all go and get a bunch of ideas and, kind of collaborate and decide from there?
Great question. Actually, this one, it was a decision that, that Seth and myself made.
Okay.
And it all was it was somewhat serendipitous in terms of, how Field of Hope, we just were connected by some mutual colleagues and peers out in the field. Many of the people on our team, have worked together in some capacity throughout the years. So many of them knew a lot of the same people. So it wasn't like a mandate per se, because our team is still fairly small. But I think I understand what you're saying. No, the team didn't necessarily go out and collect ideas and then bring back and say, hey, this is the group that we would love to work with. Mm-hmm. That's something that we might consider, in the future. How about you guys? Do you do something like that, Rob?
Well, no, we don't actually. And what we've done is allowed for people to follow their own passions and tried to support them to the best of their abilities. That said, it certainly would be wonderful to be able to be together on one particular thing. And we have, about half of our companies around the country. And so this is really interesting, and why I'm here with you today. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this is, how can, I'm just racking my brain. How can we bring community together with that part of our team? Obviously, the team that is here in the Detroit area, that's easier. Mm-hmm. But how can we do that with, how can we bring them into the mix? Because we're not a professional services group like you. I could see how you guys could kind of, you're developing the curriculum.
I'd like to know if all the 500 hours were volunteered by your team, or if the company sponsored some of the hours of the project.
So those, so since everybody was on salary, I guess you could say that it was sponsored because we accounted for that in their, the regular work time.
Regular time,
Yeah. But so it wasn't, if they did spend extra time outside of that because they are salaried, I mean, that's, they certainly could have, but yeah. Rob, that's a great question, Daniel. Rob, back to your question too. The thing that really worked well here for this was it was core to what we do as a business, and it allowed people to actually get to work together that they don't normally get to work together. We work on different client teams and such. So we were able to do some mixing up of the team, and people got to work together that they hadn't, had an opportunity to work together. And it, the other cool thing is it just gave us, it was just the right opportunity for us to all come together and use some, similar talents. So it would be interesting, from your perspective, as a, in the line of work that you do, what would that be, that one thing that everybody kind of has enough of an experience with that they could, all contribute to?
Actually, to divert just a little bit here, Rob, have you ever considered, because you have people all over the country, in encouraging them or creating a program to either donate services or expertise to public schools that are struggling with their copiers? I mean, it's like that simple. Is that that's a common complaint that I get, that I hear from my friends that are teachers, is that they have equipment that is 15, 20 years old, and consistently breaking down. Half the times they don't even have the paper to put in the copier, much less the functioning copier.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever considered something like that? Because that seems like that might actually, that would kill two birds with one stone, pardon the expression, of being something that actually fit your guys' expertise. And it's a dramatic need. I think if you walked into pretty much any school district and said, hey, especially ones that were, struggling with finances, that we're going to donate this amount of service here. And that, that directly affects that community, that physical community, where you're at.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
How did you roll it out?
What was that a question for me? How did we roll it out? Just to clarify, do you mean to talk to the employees about it, or do you?
Yeah.
We actually, just because of the nature of the story that Mike and his wife Kathy have, when they're very passionate, and so we actually brought them to a team meeting. We had previewed we have bi-weekly calls with the entire team, so everybody comes together on Monday. So we had previewed, the opportunity. I think there was they had a video, that they had available, so people had kind of gotten a sense of that. And then it wasn't a hard sell once you meet Mike and Kathy and have them tell their story and talk about, what they're doing and the people that they're working with. So we had them come to a team meeting, and that's how we rolled it out to the team. And then during that team meeting, we also then, started to organize and actually started to do some real work on the project while we were together. And also while we had the Field of Hope team there with us too.
Was your team at that time, were you all together when you say a team meeting, or is it something like this?
Yeah, no. So the bi-weekly meeting that I'm talking about, that's something like this, where we all come together just online. But 4 times a year, we bring everybody together physically to different locations across the U.S. So here in a couple of weeks, we're going to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we'll be there for 2 or 3 days, so that we can actually spend some time together and FaceTime together and such. So it was at one of those meetings.
Got it. Very cool.
Doug, do you have any efforts that, aside from the team service project, any efforts that go directly into the communities where your team is at?
Yeah. So 2 ways that occurs. Philanthropy, so just sheer giving of dollars. We wanted our team to have kind of a voice and choice in our corporate giving. So we don't, beyond, what we do here, we don't have like Seth and I don't pick, where we give our corporate dollars. We set aside a budget for what we're going to give each year. But then what we do is we developed a donation matching program. So, we match up to $250 right now. And so team members select the causes that they, want to give to. They write a check, and then, we match it. So for instance, that may be a Red Cross organization locally, or it might be a educational, a youth organization. My wife gives to the College of Agriculture Alumni Scholarship Funds here in Missouri. So, that's how we make that outreach into the local community where people actually live. So in 2013, employees themselves gave $1,900, and in 2014, we saw that increase. We also increased our head count, but to 2,900, and we matched then that dollar for dollar with the organizations that they're giving to. The second thing that we do then is the volunteerism piece. And This was really, we wanted team members to not just have, giving money is one way to give back. We wanted to give people an opportunity to, get into the community and give back in different ways than just giving money. So, and we also have this belief, Seth and I do, that, cultivating your passions and, you can grow valuable skills by volunteering, and those skills can come back and pay dividends to the company as well, in the long run. And so, and we had people, wanting to give time in their local communities. So we just consider volunteering in local organizations as part of professional development. So it's just part of paid time off to serve on a board. Katie Bateman, who's in the picture here with her daughter Elise in the pink helmet there, but Katie's in the background. But Katie and Carrie Durner on our team are on the Fallbrook YMCA board, and that's just part of we consider that part of professional development. And even though that is not necessarily going to a conference on learning and design, it's something that we think is very valuable. And we've had folks serve on the Nebraska FFA Board of Directors. Craig on our team is a mentor for student teachers for Purdue's Ag Ed. So young people who are getting ready to go out into high school classrooms, he'll go supervise them and, give them feedback and such. I happen to be on the Association of Talent Development Board of Directors and spend a fair amount of time with that. And we have somebody on the MU alumni board. But those are just some examples of how we volunteer and actually then make sure we also account for that time again in our resource plans. So we have a dashboard, a weekly dashboard that everybody fills out just to say, here's kind of where I think I'm going to be spending my time this week. And we also have a projections board, and between those two things, we make sure that people account for professional development, and that also includes volunteerism.
Dude, is there for paid time off? Do you have a limit to that, or is that part of the quote unquote policy? You get X amount of time or whatnot?
That's a great question. We don't have a policy about how much time people take off. And we've only, in 8 years, knock on wood, we've only had one instance where it really kind of got out of control. And there were plenty of other things with that particular case, but that it just wasn't a good fit for how we operate. But no, we don't have a policy that says this is the maximum amount of time. We really operate on, if you're getting your work done and you're getting it, you're producing the results, you're welcome to take that time off. And people just have to self-monitor. And we find, a lot of people are really good about, if they are overwhelmed with, things that they're on their plate, that may mean that they don't go to that board meeting that month, or they don't go to that, service event for the organization that month. But we've been very fortunate that we've found a good team of people who are very, very good about being very honest about it. So,
and that's paid time off overall, not just for community work.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That's
Right.
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So those are the two other ways to answer your question, Glenn. Those are the two ways that we get people engaged in their local communities, in addition to that kind of larger service project that we all get to contribute to and work on together.
Great. Daniel, do you have any examples of anything that you're doing that are similar or that kind of address the same people?
Yeah, we've never had a project like this. What I like best of your kind of project is that you have a team project. So you can foster this team view inside the company and help community as well. we sponsor some programs here. That's why I asked if it was a company initiative or a personal volunteer initiative, because the company decided to sponsor some educational projects, and then we send people to have this volunteer work, but the company is paying for these hours too, so it's not a really volunteer job from the perspective of the employee. But we have a very interesting project we have been sponsoring for about 7 years, and the team is very proud of being involved in this project. So this is a way we try to have some advantages of the team feelings about it, because we have a rotation of the people who work for this project every year, and every year many people volunteer to take this position. We teach people that are living in vulnerable areas. It's a project that is called pescar in Portuguese. That would be fish in English. And it's the philosophy of, instead of giving the fish, teach people how to fish. So they select people aged 15, 16 years old that would be vulnerable to traffic, drug dealers, etc. And they have them inside a school to have lessons on how to access the job market and earn their living. And we have to teach everything. We start teaching how to brush their teeth, to have a good personal presentation, because they are really poor people and they need basics. And this is a project we have been very proud of, because when they finish the project, the kids, the teenagers, are sent to organizations to work. And our company has received already 4 or 5 people that finished this course and had their trainee practice here, and they grow a lot, and it's very rewarding for everyone to see how these people change in a period of 3 years. So it's a very good initiative we have here.
So when you say that everybody's not working together on that, so it just sounds like then, you know, some people will go teach the courses, like a few people go teach the courses. Okay. Yeah.
We have we have 32 people in the team, and we have 4 people working the project.
Yeah. Cool project.
Because the project needs many companies, because then we need to absorb these people in the teaching working practice. So we have about 15 companies that volunteer employees to work and help form these kids.
That's very cool, though.
Yeah, very cool.
You say, Mike, I'm not going to let you escape there. You said you had about 2 questions. You said you had about 28 employees. Are those all in one place?
Well, we're involved in construction, and so what's different about what we do is we all, in a sense, operate out of the same building, and yet our construction crews, which are more than half of our team, they operate on job sites, and they go straight to the job site in the morning. They might go for literally weeks and never come into the office, and so creating culture in that kind of an environment in and of itself is interesting. And then also we hire new people as a growing company. How do we train culture when people are not necessarily among us that much, but they're out doing their thing? So I think it takes quite a bit of time, and our policies and procedures, I think, guide culture to a degree. We state clearly the things we care about by the decisions and policies and procedures that we implement, but it's a little bit tricky in that regard. And then as far as any kind of the various charitable programs we've been involved in, it's funny, we haven't really asked our people to give of themselves in any way. We as a company have chosen to take on some projects, and we pay them for those projects just like we pay for any other. there's never any lack of nonprofit organizations or various ministries and so on, NGOs that have a need for a construction project of one type or another. So there's always something we can do, and typically we end up paying our people to do those things. We haven't really asked them to volunteer because typically those things are being built during the day.
Right.
And our guys need to get paid when they're working during the day. So, I don't know, I'm just listening.
Mike, I've actually got somebody that I'll connect you with. His name is Aaron Moore. He's out of Chicago, and he runs a pretty substantial sized painting crew. That's what they do. So there's some very direct similarities in how people are spread out throughout the city and the projects that they're doing. And he's had some tremendous success in dealing specifically with the issues that you have. So after this, I'll connect you guys just so you can chat and learn a little bit from each other. So
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So we're involved in a project in Thailand, and one of our employees is involved in it during business hours. And so in essence, what we did is we said, you can use 20% of your hours, 10 hours a week, whatever, to work on that project. Nobody tracks it, that's just, you said, here's a guideline, so she does that. And that's, so far it's off to a good start. But that's kind of what we've always done, is just, we've taken on various things and then we just hire people to do them.
Yeah. That's really, I guess it's really not that different than what I described. Our folks, we made the decision. We said, this is the project that we're all going to contribute to. And then, of course, people had some specific, we didn't give a guideline like, you're going to spend 20% of your time per se, but just because of the way our process works, we kind of knew about how much time it would take for folks to be involved. But yeah, it doesn't actually, it's not all that different.
Yeah, maybe not.
Mike, what country did you say that was in?
That one is Thailand.
Thailand. Does the rest of the workforce that's out, dealing with Windows, are they influenced by that project at all? Are they aware of it?
They're not even aware of it. No, they don't even know it exists. It was an unusual situation because my wife and I are on the board of that organization. Mm-hmm. And so we started with that. And then we knew that they really needed some administrative help, and some stateside help would probably be a good thing. And then we also recognized an opening in our company. And it happens that a friend who also was aware of that work happened to be quite qualified for that opening. And so it's just a lot of things aligned all at the same time. And it really came together in a beautiful way. So we hired her, gave her this really critical role in our company. She's grabbing that and owning that well. And at the same time, then able to bless that organization with some efforts, and because now her time is freed up to be able to do that. So, and no, I think the majority of our employees don't know anything about it.
Why not?
It's just sort of happened recently, and we just haven't done anything with it. We really, in the beginning too, I didn't know how it was going to work out. So we'll see how it plays out, and we probably should take some time to introduce that. But it's been going on for all of 2.5 weeks so far. So
it's a young project. Okay.
Right. That one just kind of happened. There's a possibility I may go to Thailand this fall and participate with that organization a little bit for a week or two. And if I do, that would be a great time to let everybody know what's going on too. But other projects we've done, a nonprofit private school here in town. We helped them out with, of all things, some window needs. And last year, right now we're renovating a building for ourselves, moving our company and into it, and then also renovating the other half of the same building to move a nonprofit into it. And that nonprofit, talk about phenomenal synergy. They exist to take inner city kids that have dropped out of high school, help them get their GED, and teach them job training specifically in construction.
Oh, wow.
They're going to be in our building sharing space with us. And so we're going to be able to take those guys, and we can even participate in helping to do some of the training and teaching with our own staff. And then when they turn out some superstars, we get to hire them.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
You know, one of the things that I think you outlined well in your presentation, Doug, and that we don't do a good job at all is you're quantifying your time. You know, I think there was something on one of the slides, or maybe you said it, about how much time was given, and then even how financially, how much you guys contributed as a group. I think that's pretty powerful to share with the team.
Mm-hmm.
Are others doing that? I'd love to get your all feedback.
No. We should. We actually could, because the fact that we do pay our people, at least for maybe not the Thailand situation, but the other jobs, means that they are a job in our accounting system. Therefore, there is an accounting of man hours and that sort of things. It'd be pretty easy to say, hey, we participated in this project to this many hours or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put together, you know, like a little summary infographic. The one you saw was from 2013. We were still updating the one for 2014, but we put that together simply because, well, we put it on our website. We put it at, you know, in a blog post. You know, we try to get some mileage out of just what everybody has done. But beyond that, then too, we have each, you know, during our team meetings, we will have periodically, I think it's, you know, usually at our November meeting, we'll have people talk about what they gave to, and, you know, just so everybody kind of gets to celebrate, you know, what they did.
Mm-hmm.
We also actually share some of that with our clients too. So like, instead of a Christmas card last year, we actually found like a retailer in Uganda who did like little star ornaments. And so then we wrote a little page about, you know, just related back to one of our values, and you know, told a little bit about the project and some of the impact that we were making. So it just gave us you know, I think it's also helpful as a way for us to reach out to and share. It gives us a story to talk about with our clients as well. And there, it also, you know, I think that's in a virtual environment, you know, a client might see, or a customer might see that, you know, Image One supports the local United Way. We had to find ways to figure out, how do we share that same story that we would have if we did all live in the same place and we all donated time to the, you know, YMCA or the United Way. Right. So we had to figure out, you know, how can we do that in a way that's meaningful, you know, and such. So we are always constantly thinking about, how do we, you know, keep people aware of it, because it's so easy, like Mike said, and it happens. I mean, I can only imagine with 28 people, but with 17 people, it's very easy for people to just not know what the other people are doing. And that creates this disconnected feeling. So you have to be, we've found that you have to be really intentional about taking the time to talk about, you know, what others are doing and what they're volunteering for, and such too. So
how do you gather the information? Well, okay, you have a system where if they're working on the project,
right,
they're entering their time in, so it's sort of baked in. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in our time accounting system, we have a way to keep track of that.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, my wife and I have 8 kids, and describing your corporate giving, where people could kind of choose their own charity and things like that, that actually reminded me a lot of what we did recent few years around Christmas. We did that with our kids. We said, okay, guys, here's your Christmas present. You get to choose where this money goes.
Cool.
And then
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I don't think my kids would like that for some reason.
I don't know if they liked it or not. They didn't really say.
I'm just kidding. They'd say, okay, great, but where are our gifts?
Yeah.
No, that is the gift. Don't you understand?
Yep. But our kids are older now too.
Daniel, do you, with the project, with the job training, and it seems life skills development, do you tell that story to your clients? Do you systematically address it, or is it something that you do because it's important to you, and it's important to you, and so that's why and there's no other results from it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, when we had a consultancy here to check some 10 principles for the client's view, I was very surprised because the help for community, social, the perspective was very under-evaluated by our customers. Then we discovered that we did it for us because it was important for the company, it was important for the team, but we didn't publicize it for our customers, to engage customers in this kind of actions we're doing, But for the last 2 years, I can say we have been putting some more attention to how we communicate to our community, to our customers, what we have been doing, And I occupied 2 years ago a very important position in a local community for a social institution, and this gave a projection that made me feel that people praise the ones that volunteer for a cause, and we are trying to put this closer to the company's brand because this is important for the company. I believe we will always do it, and the people who appreciate that and become our customers will help foster this kind of initiatives, of course.
Okay, well that's it for this one. Check out more Fishbowls exclusively for the Small Giants community at smallgiants.org.